You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, me and Pat are going to discuss Lonzo Ball clapping back at Stephen A. Smith. We're also going to discuss the Bulls apparently wanting to keep DeMar DeRozan long term, and Torrey Craig comments on bringing the needed edge to the Chicago Bulls. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Pat, let's go ahead and jump into the topics for today. First up, Lonzo Ball, man, coming off his interview with Trae Young, Stephen A. Smith made a comment on First Take saying that he heard that Lonzo Ball is even having difficulty standing from a sitting position. Well, Lonzo Ball decided to say, hey, Stephen A., go ahead and shut the hell up for me, and posted a video of him doing one-legged sit and stands and then saying that he ended it with the emphatic, I'm coming back. Now, he's already said he's not going to be back this season. How did this video make you feel of seeing Lonzo Ball show more emotion than what we've seen from Lonzo in quite a while? How do you feel?
Don't what? Don't give me hope.
Don't give me hope. Don't you give me no hope, Lonzo. No, I do hope that he's able to come back. The biggest takeaway for me from this video was that Lonzo can have a life. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like at this point, I've chalked up Lonzo coming back to the comeback will be a letdown. It'll be great to see him even be able to return to an NBA court and do anything, but I don't think that it's going to lead to a lengthy career, especially with a lot of the injuries he's dealt with to this point. I hope he is able to come back. Basketball is something that he's very passionate about. It's what his livelihood is. It's how he makes his money. Granted, he's made some really good money here in Chicago. But I hope that he's able to come back. But, I mean, listen, like this video didn't all of a sudden change my thought process on it. It didn't make me feel like by the end of this season, we're going to see Lonzo Ball surprisingly run out on the court and there's going to be this momentous moment. It didn't make me feel like Lonzo Ball is going to return to being the player that he is. What it made me feel is that, Lonzo Ball can walk to his kids' graduations. Lonzo Ball can run around and chase his daughter around. Lonzo Ball can, like stuff like that. Like that's really all I took away from it.
Can he drop down in Birddogs and pick up a penny like you did earlier?
You know what? I don't know if he can, bro. I don't know if he can because that leg was still shaking a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it was, you know what I mean? You got to have good stability to have that bird dog positive stretch that comes with that material that they got to be able to get down there and grab that penny with your hands. Somebody pointed that out to me. Somebody hit me with, what you grabbing the bird? What you grabbing that penny with? I said, yo, you gotta relax.
Oh, man.
Hey, that was a wild comment to get. I never thought that it would lead to this. But no, I think at the end of the day, like Lonzo Ball being able to just have a life. That's all that I hope for him. And, on the flip side of that, we can sit here and laugh at Stephen A. and cook Stephen A. and fry Stephen A. And trust me, we'll get to all of that because even though I'm a fan of Stephen A., you got to do better there. But let's not overlook the fact that when your dad got banned from going on all of these networks because he was going on there running his mouth about all these different things that were happening, that also meant that the access to the Ball boys was cut off. Pause.
Ball boys.
Pause. I mean, ball boy is actually a regular term. It's not even a pause, actually. That's
no.
That's a pause. I mean,
pause. For you, everything's a pause, bro.
They literally retrieve balls on a basketball court. If they retrieve balls for Grady Dick, maybe. But I mean, at the end of the day, like just saying. So, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It made me excited to see because, like, around this time last year, all we saw from Lonzo Ball is a video where he looked depressed talking about how he couldn't even make it upstairs, right?
Yeah.
And then in the video, and even in the podcast interview with Trae Young, he didn't show a lot of emotion in that. He was more straight to the point, right? And it seemed like he was really like contemplative. This was the first time that we've gotten as close as like the Lonzo Ball that used to jump up and down on one leg after hitting a big 3-pointer, right? Like, and that type of energy, I'm glad to see that Lonzo's in a better mind state. Like that's what I pulled from that. If he can come back, whatever that ends up taking and taking shape and looking like, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I'm just happy that Lonzo's in a great place. And you know, when it comes down to his return, no matter what, right? And, you know, we know realistically he's not going to get any type of big deal or anything. I wouldn't mind seeing him trying to make his comeback in the Chicago Bulls uniform. And then, you know, we'll make that decision based off that. It may be a little traumatic to some people, especially, God forbid, if he was to even sprain an ankle in the Bulls jersey again. But, you know, I mean, he's going to try to make a comeback. And he could be the first NBA player to come back from that surgery. And we'll see where the dice fall at that point.
Now, here's the only issue I have with Stephen A.
The only one?
I'm a Stephen A fan. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like I know a lot of people like to take shots at Stephen A, but a lot of times Stephen A likes to put on a good show, and he realizes there's certain things that even though he knows them, if he says them, he'll never get that information again from that person or player. And JJ Redick and those guys also know that, and so they use that to their advantage. And all of them have said as much on their own platforms, on their own podcasts, different things like that, right? It's a debate show. He knows how to put on a good show. But I can't shoot you slack when you also say those things, which tells me you can find out whether Lonzo Ball is actually in those situations that you're saying that he's in on the national media. Because the first thing that came out of our minds is instantly we all go back in that depressed state thinking, dang, Lonzo can't even sit up. He can't stand up without some kind of, you know, like he's struggling to walk around. You know what I mean? And you're putting that out on a national platform. And Lonzo claps back to you instantly, pretty much. I mean, what was it, an hour, 2 hours later, something like that, where he drops that video. So, you know, like you have the means as the person you are as Stephen A to get that information. There's been a lot of things to me that I've looked at. And I know, you know, sending things out to your team and stuff like that, you know, a lot of times things get lost in translation. But stuff like that, you got to be able to vet that. You got to be able to go a little bit more deeper into that. And I know that he has the basketball context to do that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, he probably lost the basketball contact today because he was like, you told me Lonzo can't walk. This man's doing one-legged squats and do a chair and back up, bro. Like,
yeah, I mean, listen, I'm glad Lonzo came out and wanted to debunk it, showed it. I mean, it's not, doesn't leave much that you can argue, and we'll see what it means for his career. But like, you know, I know me and you talked about like, are we going to roast Stephen A. Smith? Like, let's be clear here. A lot of reporters get wrong information from sources. Now, not everyone has as big of a platform as Stephen A. Smith to say the stuff that he does, but there's misinformation out there. For all we know, the source that could have told him that could have legitimately heard that, but that information could have been out of date. So you just never know exactly what you're hearing. So
and my thing is, it can always be. Here's the thing: clearly, there are people in the Bulls front office, in the Bulls organization. I don't know if this is where his source came from, but we've heard a bunch of sources in the front office that clearly don't like what's happening here.
This is true as well.
If I don't like what's happening here, I'm not going to tell you the glowing details that are coming out of here. I'm going to tell you the things that I think are the serious things. And so, like, if he got this out of the Bulls organization as a whole, you know what the context is going to be? It's going to be all in the negative, which means Lonzo struggles to get out of a chair. Maybe he had a tough day one day, the day that whoever that trainer or scout or whatever it is saw him, and he went, getting out the chair. Like we've all done it. You know what I mean? Like,
that's fact. Like I did that earlier today. So
I mean, you do it every time you get out of a chair.
Not every time. Just earlier today.
That's those plus 30 knees, man. You know what I mean?
Listen. It wasn't even. I was fine until about 33, bro. I don't know what it was about that Jesus year. It was like, hey, man, everything cracks now. Everything, every single thing, bro. It is what it is.
At least you 33. I'm 29, bro. I was 25 sitting in a chair one day. My knee said, I said, I ain't moved yet. Wait a minute now. You can't. He's supposed to do that when I moved.
Before you moved?
Hey, bro, I was just sitting there watching the movie. That mother said, I was like, oh, wait, hold on, dog.
That
Come
is
on now. You're
hilarious.
supposed to at least wait till I bend my knee. Come on.
That's just disrespectful.
It was. I was hooping on concrete growing up, though, a lot.
I mean, yeah, we all were, bro. Like, you know what's crazy now to think back how hard that was on our knees, bro?
It was terrible, bro. I saw somebody the other day sitting there talking about mugs don't even hoop outside no more. Like, it don't make no sense. And I was like, because it's terrible for your body. Like,
But next up, we're going to be talking about the Bulls wanting to keep DeMar DeRozan long term. But before we talk about that, got to talk to you guys about Ibotta. Finally taking that summer vacation you've been planning but dreading buying all the necessities before you take off. It's time to stop spending your hard-earned money without getting anything in return. Enter Ibotta. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Enter either link your loyalty account or upload your receipt after you shop and get your cash back. It's that easy. The average Ibotta user earns $120 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, or you can use your cash back to buy that flight you've been eyeing, that game you've been dying to go to, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you get real cash back that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. You can earn cash back on hundreds of online brands and retailers too when you start with Ibotta, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners just $5 for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKED when you register. That's code LOCKED. Just go to the App Store or use Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta and use code LOCKED. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use the code LOCKED. All right, Patrick. No, I got to throw it in there once a week, bro. Once a week, I got to do it. It's an Easter egg in there for people who, look for that type of thing.
It causes mugs to like perk up and actually pay attention to what we're saying.
Exactly. Patrick. With that said, though, DeMar DeRozan, apparently the Bulls, according to Marc Eversley, it's important that they want to lock in DeMar DeRozan long term. Now, he did not mention anything as far as a number there, which he wouldn't this far into ahead of free agency.
Yeah.
But when you hear that the Bulls want to lock in DeMar DeRozan long term, hey, what do you think long term means for a player that just turned 34 years old, and how do you feel about it?
I mean, I think it depends heavily on what this season is, right? Like, realistically, me and you have both talked about DeMar will be able to play his style of basketball until he's 37, 38 years old, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Bulls maybe try to get a more team-friendly deal with DeMar. And I don't know if DeMar's going to take a team-friendly deal, but at 34, how many teams are coming knocking to really, pay you the bag, I guess, in that sense of the word. But hey, here's my thing with it, right? Like, I know what DeMar is. I know what a lot of people want DeMar to be. And I know that a point guard changed everything of our perception of this guy. Can you find the right combination again? Because if you can't find that combination, Zach LaVine is 20. Combination. Zach, we got it. Somebody, how do neither of us have that on the
We got to get that on the
That's actually a
soundboard.
fail on both of our parts. We got to work on that.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine is still young, right? Like, most of this team that you have is still young outside of Vooch and DeMar and now Torrey Craig, I guess, if you want to throw him in there. What is he, 30, 33 for Torrey Craig?
I think he's 34 too.
34 might be right there with DeMar. Like
32. He's 32.
32. Okay. It's a situation where if you can find that right combination, DeMar's the perfect player for you to have long term, because your goal in that whole thing would just be, hey, can you still come out, give us 19 to 23, 24 points a game? Hopefully at this point, somebody young on your team has stepped up.
Let's hope so.
Like, my God, if we get 4 or 5 years down the road and P. Will, Kobe White, and Ayo Dosunmu are all still questions, like, I have no defenses for you anymore at that point. You can't hit me with, he's only 25. Like, nah, bro, only 25 don't work, dog. But to me, right, like, I think it's a situation where it just depends on kind of where this Bulls team is. And if you can create that Lonzo Ball environment, like me and you have talked about, where you try to do it by committee, yeah, I'm okay with keeping DeMar long term. Like I don't have a problem with it. The problem with DeMar DeRozan is we've asked DeMar to be, when Zach LaVine's off, be the one. When Zach LaVine's on, be the two. And realistically, both of them need to get the ball from somebody else for them to go out there and the offense to run the way that it runs. We talked about it with the Lonzo situation yesterday, right? Like, this team hasn't looked comfortable since the first 35 games of the season 2 years ago.
These are facts. These are facts. And hopefully he can get better than that. I think that the Bulls wanting to keep DeMar just makes sense to what we've seen from AK. I mean, you've talked about it. Actually, AK going out and trading Wendell and all those players, that's actually odd for him, considering how he runs teams. He typically likes to keep things and just let them naturally run their course. And so DeMar's been a player that, and Marc Eversley talked about it in the same quote, like talking about how important DeMar, the value he brings to the team outside of stuff on the court. And, I'm sure that plays a big role in them wanting to keep him here for culture setting, things like that. The fact of the matter is this: the Bulls had an absolute terrible culture and a terrible product on the court before they came in there.
Yeah.
And so you may want to double down. It makes you want to hold on to the players and the things that helped you change that culture. It's natural to want to hold on to that a little bit tighter. So I don't necessarily agree with you. You know how I feel about DeMar. I think his trade value should be explored, not because I think he's a bad player, just because I think, you're not going to win or even get close to sniffing a title in the time that you have here. But listen, I can understand the complete merits of wanting to keep DeMar DeRozan around long term.
Yeah. And I think it's tough, right? Because you look at the Mavericks, not the Mavericks, I'm talking the Nuggets. I'm sorry. And to me, I think that's the situation AK is trying to recreate, right? Like, that's the situation of, yes, there's some injuries that have set us back. Yes, there's some things that have hurt us. Yes, there's some parts that haven't played their part to this point. But if we can just find that perfect combination for one season, all of a sudden we can find that part, right? Like, realistically, Jamal Murray was Lonzo Ball. Now, a much less injury, right? He didn't have another guy's knee
different injury
put in. Yeah. But realistically, I could have gave up on this guy for a while now.
Yeah.
And we didn't. DeMar DeRozan is basically your Aaron Gordon in this situation. Zach LaVine is, that's where your problem probably comes in, right? Zach LaVine is supposed to be your Nikola Jokic. I don't think that Zach LaVine's your Nikola Jokic. I don't think that Patrick Williams is going to become your Nikola Jokic. I don't think that Kobe White all of a sudden turns into your Nikola Jokic. You need that star player to lead the way, and he's trying to go about finding it, right? Like, realistically, the person that we're looking at to see if he's our Nikola Jokic is Julian Phillips.
Nobody's looking at Julian Phillips to be Nikola Jokic.
I think AK is.
I don't think he
is. You know what I mean? Because
if anything, he's looking at Julian Phillips to be Aaron Gordon. That's if anything.
Hey, listen. Hey, he likes his late second round and end of draft guys. Like,
and Marco went on his way on back to Serbia.
Hey, that's because Billy wouldn't let them in on the court. I don't care what nobody say.
But I mean,
AK was like, we're gonna put him on the team. He was like, I ain't gotta play him.
But I think if AK really did look at him that way and said, no, Marco could be our Nikola Jokic, he would have been like, hey, Billy, listen, I don't care about what you're talking about, bro. Get your gum and play this guy.
I don't know, right? Like, but that's the part, right? That's the part we're waiting on. We're waiting to see who's going to be our Nikola Jokic. And I think that's the part that's tough, right? Like, we have a team.
I think you just like saying Nikola Jokic, bro. Like, well, you said a man's whole, like it's a pimp named Slickback. It ain't a Tribe Called Quest. You ain't got to say the whole name every single time.
That's his name. Well, I could just say Nikola, and then we'd be wondering if I was saying Vucevic or not.
You could say Joker. You could say Jokic. Like, it's a lot of options you have there, bro.
Why are we trying to fry for me saying my man's name out here? Jesus, bro.
Like, you said Nikola Jokic like 15 times.
Hey, bro,
in the last 3.5 minutes.
It's his name. But everybody got a problem when I say Grady Dick. Hey, go ahead. Man. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
Come on now, bro. We're brothers. I gotta throw some.
I ain't worried about it. Nikola Jokic. How about that? Take that
if I don't joke with you and offend you, I don't love you. That's all that is. I keep telling people that. Like,
offend me. I don't think that'd be tough. I wonder what would offend us.
What would, I don't know, bro. Because like I'm just gonna flame you. I don't know if I'm gonna be offended. I'm just gonna be like, all right, bet we on.
Right, you know what I mean? Like it just turns into a frying session, and at the end of it, we'll be like, all right, we done,
bro. This past
we can't put this episode out.
I look back. I was thinking And I was like, we really did sit there and fry Big Kev and Bobby and C-Dub like on and off for 3 hours, bro.
Hey, at Bulls Fest. Hey, if you want to know our real takeaway from Bulls Fest, Bobby vocal cords, boy. Not Bobby, C-Dub vocal cords, boy. C-Dub vocal cords is crazy. Kev doesn't own a jersey that has ever been worn by any team ever. And
bro, he said that was an update from the Bulls jersey, bro. He showed
bro, I looked at that mug. I said, "You got pirate sleeves on, bro. What's going on here, bro?"
Man, bro, that
ain't
jersey,
no way. Ain't no way you thought this was an
legitimately
upgrade.
walked into a beauty salon. He was like, "You know what I really want? I really would like a White Sox jersey." And somebody said, "I make fresh for you." That's what.
Jesus. Okay. All right. Now we done.
All right, moving right along.
Them sleeves was so long, bro. Like the socks wore that.
He had on a White Sox jersey, a Cubs hat, and
a black and white Cubs hat, bro. He had on a black and white Cubs hat, bro.
He literally left that house and his wife said, "You got it, baby." What happened?
bro, that man had on doggone some hyper dunks from Raw.
Oh my God.
That was crazy, bro.
That is hilarious, bro.
That was a crazy outfit, bro. Bobby,
man.
Bobby was the only one that was semi-normal out of the group that we rode with, bro. That was a crazy time.
Dub had on a fly outfit too. His vocal cords was
Dub
just
vocal cords ain't fly, bro. Dub vocal cords need Vaseline. He need to take a spoonful of castor oil every night to keep them things oiled, bro. Like, I'm not.
Oh man, we want to remind you guys of Locked On Bulls is available every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube and the Odyssey app. Oh man, with that being said, Torrey Craig talked about what he wants to bring to the Chicago Bulls team, and that's defense and edge. But an interesting quote here that I want to throw your way, Pat. He said this: "Actually, the last couple of free agencies, me and AK have been talking. We just couldn't get it done. We kind of knew the kind of pieces he wanted and what Carter and I could bring and what kind of team we had the potential to be, especially with those guys who are already here. We want to be one of those tough, hard-nosed, defensive-minded, competitive teams all year round." What do you think when you hear the fact that AK's apparently been trying to recruit Torrey Craig for like 2+ off seasons?
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, I guess a little bit because Torrey Craig just kind of figured out how to shoot threes.
No, Torrey Craig's been a 34% three-point shooter for his career. So I mean, he's
but the last couple of seasons are really helping that, ain't they?
No, I mean, I have to go back and look at it exactly, but he's been pretty solid. He's never been a great three-point shooter except last year, but he's been a pretty solid three-point shooter for his whole career.
Torrey Craig, he shot 39%. Bro. It's ugly.
No,
39% last year, 32% year before, 33% year before,
36
32% year before, 36. Like, what was that random 4 years of just like, I can't shoot no more? Oh, he was traded 4 times. No, how you get traded that much in a season?
Bro, yeah. I mean, but
traded a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, the worst season he had was 29. That was absolutely horrible. But at a 32% clip, at taking 2.5 per game, it's not a horrible three-point shooter. It's just not great. It's better than Alex Caruso.
I don't want Alex Caruso shooting threes either, so I'll take Torrey Craig. Like,
if you had a bet on Denzel Valentine or Alex Caruso to hit a three-pointer to save your life,
Denzel, for sure. I don't even question that because the problem with Denzel's three wasn't that it wasn't online. It was that he thought he was Zach LaVine. That was the big right. He was like, I'm the other light-skinned guy. I was like, nah, bro, you the one with the gums. Like, you can't. You need to take 3 steps forward, dog. Because remember, how we got back in that game was him knocking down the 3-ball.
Yeah, but what's Denzel Valentine's career three-point shooter now?
It can't be good, but I'd rather have him over Alex Caruso. And I don't know why. It made me feel better, I guess.
It just makes you feel better. Denzel, okay. He's not so Denzel, 35%, 38%, 33, 33, 40
overall.
Why do I remember him missing a lot of wide open threes?
I mean, he did.
Okay.
Listen, it's averages. You know what I mean? Like he went.
There you go. Yeah, we talked about averages before.
He shot 38% his second year in the Bulls, right? And that was basically 2 for 5 he went. But that don't mean he didn't go 0 for 5 in many a game. And
Torrey Craig, bro.
Jordan
to see you, man. What do you think about Torrey Craig's comments outside of just the AK?
I mean, listen, I do think that Torrey Craig brings the edge. If he can bring the vocal edge, that's all I care about. And I've never heard of Torrey Craig as that guy. I think that's kind of how I talked about a lot of the guys that the Bulls were looking at in the offseason. I've never heard of Torrey Craig as the vocal edge guy, because here's the thing. Realistically, the Bulls aren't a bad defensive team. They just don't have guys that are going to speak up. They have guys that just go out there and they have too many guys that want to prove or that want to lead by their actions. No, sometimes you got to have somebody that's going to say, "Ayo, how about you play defense right here and stop standing over there and missing your assignment?" Pat Bev did it 3 games in. Might have been 2, honestly. It was very.
I think it was the first one, to be honest with you.
Was it? Vooch missed that assignment that early? Jeez,
oh no, the Vooch assignment. No, that was further.
That was like 2-3 games in.
But no, but he was talking to Zach LaVine on that first one.
No, that for sure. But like Vooch was the one that was like debating back and forth with him.
Right?
I think that's what the Bulls need. Like, you got to have a guy where you can say, "Hey, you got to be here." What are you talking about? I did my job. No. Forget all that. You got to be here. I'm telling you where you got to be. That's the edge that I need Torrey Craig to bring. And I don't know if you're going to get that off of the bench. Now, realistically, Pat Bev was also pretty much off the bench. What was he, 22, 23 minutes a game when he was here? Like, played a good chunk, but like,
I think
he spent some time on the bench as well. But like, it's one of those things where I just don't know if that's the edge that he brings. The defensive edge I got Patrick Williams. I've got Ellis Caruso. I've got now Javon Carter, right? I've got dogs on defense. But I had dogs last year on defense.
True, but you didn't have dogs in the half-court defense. We had dogs in transitioning. So, I mean, he brings something that we need, absolutely. But I get what you're saying, that vocal leader. We still don't know. And to Javon Carter's point, like, dog defensively, absolutely one of the better point of attack defenders in the league. But Javon Carter is a very quiet person.
Yeah, I've never seen him like.
He has that. He's
he do have the confidence. So maybe he do. Maybe he's just. Now here's the thing, right? If you're the dude that's on the 10-day and like they kind of give you a contract, but you on a team with Giannis, maybe you're not speaking up as much. Maybe with Zach LaVine, you like, "Hey, bro, you tweaking right now." Again, he from Chicago, so you know
he's gonna be home. That may bring out a different side of him as well. So his mama may be in the building watching him play.
And you're gonna be around Muzz that you know is gonna be in your ear telling, "Hey, you need to tell that Zach something."
That's true.
I don't know, man. Like, for me, the edge. I like the edge. I like that Torrey Craig is gonna bring the edge. I like.
We don't need to know that about you. That's a little bit personal, bro.
You said, "Wow, that's crazy." That's. I don't even know how we turn that into that. Like, I have no idea. I feel like that's nothing. It just felt crazy after you said that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, that was insane.
We've jumped the shark, bro. It's time
follow
to go.
us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Watch out for the edge.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize, at CEO Haize. Want to thank you guys for tuning in, making Locked On Bulls your first listen every single day. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls, man, and we out here. Peace, y'all.
Peace. I like the edge. That's the right up and down.